Hey Army! Welcome back to the channel. If you thought Night 1 of BTS in Las Vegas was already insane, Night 2 just proved something we have all known for a very long time. The world cannot escape Jimin. And today, it is not just Army saying that. Someone who has spent 3 full decades in the global music industry, a world-class DJ and producer whose name cuts across every genre imaginable, has just discovered exactly why Park Jimin is a phenomenon that no words can fully contain. Who is that person? Diplo. And what happened on day 2 of the BTS Ararang World Tour in Las Vegas? Friends, buckle up. This is not just a concert recap. This is history being rewritten one night at a time. If you have not subscribed yet, hit that button right now, ring the notification bell, and let's get into all of it. Visual, B-roll of Las Vegas city lights. The iconic "Welcome to Las Vegas" sign lit up in red for BTS, the sphere displaying the word Ararang in its rotation. First things first, we need to talk about the sheer scale of what is happening in Las Vegas right now. BTS, RM, Jin, Suga, Jhope, Jimin, V, and Jungkook have officially taken over Sin City. Not figuratively, literally. The iconic "Welcome to Las Vegas" sign that usually glows orange and yellow, lit up in red for BTS. The sphere, the most futuristic and unmistakable landmark in all of Nevada, featured the word Ararang in its rotation. Restaurants and cafes across the city rolled out special BTS-themed menus. Arte Museum Las Vegas opened a dedicated BTS exhibit. Official after-parties followed every concert night at nearby clubs. And the entire city felt like one enormous celebration. This is the BTS World Tour Ararang, their 6th world tour, which launched on April 9th, 2026 in Goyang, South Korea, and will run all the way through 2027 with more than 85 shows across 34 cities on 5 continents. For Las Vegas, they chose 4 massive nights: May 23rd, 24, 27, and 28, 2026, all at Allegiant Stadium, with a capacity of up to 65,000 people per night. And there was not a single empty seat in sight. Every single date was completely sold out. This is the most anticipated comeback in the history of K-pop, and quite possibly in the history of global music. After nearly 4 years away, during which every member completed mandatory military service, pursued solo projects, and quietly built the foundation for something even bigger, BTS came back as a complete unit of 7. And Jimin, our Park Jimin, was right there. More alive, more electric, and more breathtaking than ever before. If Night 1 was a wild, euphoric dance party, then Night 2 on May 24th, 2026 was something else entirely. Something deeper, more intense, and more unforgettable. Jungkook had already set the challenge the night before, telling the crowd, "Las Vegas Day 1 set the bar pretty high last night. You have to top that." And Las Vegas Night 2 answered that challenge by going even louder. Forbes described the atmosphere inside the stadium as the most deafening of the entire North American leg of the tour, even louder than Mexico City, which is famous for its ferociously passionate crowd. The screaming from the audience was so overwhelming at times that it was nearly impossible to hear the members speaking between songs. But no one cared. The energy itself had become the language. The Night 2 setlist brought special surprises. The 2 rotating songs exclusive to that evening were Black Swan and Spine Breaker. Spine Breaker, a track from well over a decade ago, caught the members themselves off guard. They admitted they had almost forgotten the choreography. But that was exactly what made it so beautiful. They held on to each other, spun around, laughed out loud. A moment of pure nostalgia that had thousands of people inside the stadium crying and laughing at the exact same time. But among all 7 captivating members on that stage, there was one figure who consistently pulled the focus of every camera, every eye, and every single heart in that stadium: Park Jimin. According to coverage from multiple media outlets at the show, Jimin was one of 4 members, alongside Jhope, Jungkook, and V, who spent the entire night flirting with the crowd without a single break, playing with the cameras, locking eyes with fans, and creating fan service moments that people will be talking about for years to come. One particular moment went viral almost instantly. During the free dance portion of the show, nearly every member was wrestling with one another, trying to pull off each other's clothing or reveal something. while Suga stood calmly in the middle, watching the chaos unfold with the most composed expression imaginable. That single moment drew the loudest reaction of the entire night. And V, when he addressed the crowd for the first time, he delivered a line that immediately detonated the stadium. "They told me Vegas is called Sin City, so you have to prove it to me tonight. Keep your eyes on us until the very end. Don't even blink. Las Vegas is Sin City, alright." But that night, Sin City belonged to BTS. And now we get to the part that made this entire video necessary. The part that had ARMY all around the world shaking their heads and smiling with complete satisfaction. Diplo, this world-class American DJ and producer, had already become an inseparable part of the Ararang album long before it was released on March 20th, 2026. Diplo produced several tracks across this 14-song project, and during Night 2 in Las Vegas, when his face appeared on the giant screen inside the stadium, the crowd went absolutely wild. The reaction was nearly as massive as when the BTS members themselves walked into the spotlight. Diplo had mentally prepared for that moment. On his social media, he had posted a message to ARMY. "ARMY, please be nice. I made 5 of these." But long before that Las Vegas moment, Diplo had already delivered a statement that shook the entire music industry. When TMZ caught up with him at the Fnatic Super Bowl party on February 7th, 2026 in San Francisco, he could not contain his admiration for BTS, and especially for what he discovered during the recording sessions. "I feel so lucky. I've worked for 3 decades, and to link up with a group like that and have them trust me to do some awesome music. Honestly, it's gonna shock the world," Diplo told reporters on the red carpet. "The album's been crazy," he added with full enthusiasm. "I think it's the biggest pre-sale of all time, and they're the biggest band in the world." And then Diplo said something that went far beyond professional compliments. He started talking about what he witnessed during the recording sessions, about the creativity, the musical intelligence, and the inexplicable aura that every single BTS member carries. He called them so hands-on and so creative, 2 phrases that, coming from a producer of Diplo's caliber, represent the highest possible praise. "They rap, they do everything. They're like the real deal," Diplo said. "They're also super funny and chill, and they smell really nice too." Yes, Diplo said BTS smells nice, and the world laughed with pure joy. But underneath all the humor, there was something genuinely profound in what Diplo was saying. After 30 years of working with the biggest names in music, Justin Bieber, Sia, Dua Lipa, The Weeknd, and so many others, he walked away from the Ararang sessions describing it as the biggest thing I've ever done. That is not a marketing quote. That is a confession from someone who has seen everything this industry has to offer and was still caught completely off guard. And when Diplo talks about BTS as a whole, what he keeps coming back to is the same thing that ARMY has always known, that these 7 men are not just performers. They are artists in the fullest and most complete sense of the word. Which brings us to the question that sits at the center of this whole story. Among all 7 of those extraordinary members, why does Jimin always become the gravitational center that the world keeps orbiting around? Diplo, through everything he has said publicly, painted a consistent picture. Every BTS member brings something irreplaceable to the group. But there is something about Jimin that even someone like Diplo, a man who has collaborated with virtually every major star on the planet, simply cannot look away from. The stage belongs to Jimin. Of all the highlights from Las Vegas Night 2 that media outlets reported, Jimin's name came up consistently as one of the strongest visual magnets on that stage. Not a single movement felt half-hearted. Every step, every glance at the camera, every interaction with the crowd was executed with the precision of an artist who understands that the stage is his living canvas. Jimin is proof that genuine talent transcends time itself. During his military service, Jimin released his second solo album, Muse, on July 19, 2024. Its lead track, Who, did not just enter the Billboard Hot 100. It was ranked among the 100 biggest global chart hits of the entire 2020s decade by Talk of the Charts, earning 4,513 points. And all of that happened while Jimin was actively serving in the military, with no tours, no promotional appearances, no red carpets. Think about that. An artist who was completely offline from the industry still managed to produce one of the most impactful songs of the decade. That is not luck. That is proof of something that cannot be faked. Jimin is what the music industry calls star quality, the kind that cannot be taught, manufactured, or replicated. On June 23, 2025, KBS aired a variety program called Crazy Rich Korea, featuring a segment titled Great Koreans Who Have Risen on the Global Stage. Jimin appeared alongside legendary Korean figures, including figure skater Kim Yoona, footballer Son Heung-min, and Parasite director Bong Joon-ho. That was not just acknowledgement from the K-pop community. That was the entire nation of Korea recognizing who truly represents their identity on the world stage. And Jimin was on that list. Jimin's influence stretches well beyond music. Kuwait's first private radio station played Who and described him as the artist who topped the most streamed K-pop song in 2024 and his great role in humanity. Even in the Middle East, a region with a vastly different cultural context, Jimin's music reached people on a deeply personal level. His philanthropic work and global humanitarian presence have built a layer to his public identity that very few artists at his level bother to cultivate. And perhaps most importantly of all, Jimin knows how to turn a moment into something eternal. On the Allegiant Stadium stage during Las Vegas Night 2, Forbes described how Jimin and V consistently played to the cameras, creating fan service that felt completely authentic and sincere rather than calculated or rehearsed. There is a fundamental difference between an artist who performs for the audience and an artist who performs with the audience. Jimin has always been the latter. Diplo witnessed all of that up close during the recording of Ararang. And that is why he stood in front of a TMZ camera and said this album would shock the world. Not because of impressive production or star-studded guest lists, but because of the energy and soul that every BTS member, including Jimin, poured into every single song they recorded together. And the Las Vegas story did not end inside Allegiant Stadium. On May 25, 2026, just one day after that legendary Night 2, BTS made a special appearance at the 52nd American Music Awards, held at the MGM Grand Garden Arena, right there in Las Vegas. Their first appearance at an American awards show in 4 years. And the result? BTS won Artist of the Year. They were also nominated for Song of the Summer and Best Male K-pop Artist. All 7 members, Jungkook, Jin, Jimin, RM, jhope, V, and Suga, walked onto that stage together to accept the biggest award of the night. Picture that moment. 7 men who 4 years ago were in tears in Busan, not knowing when they would be back on a stage together, now standing under the lights of Las Vegas, holding the Artist of the Year trophy. That is Las Vegas in late May 2026. That is the Ararang World Tour. And that is BTS. Before we wrap up, let's talk for a moment about the album that made all of this possible, Ararang. Released on March 20th, 2026, BTS's 5th studio album exploded around the world immediately. It debuted straight at #1 on the Billboard 200. Lead single Swim shot to the top of the Billboard Hot 100. And even before the album dropped, Ararang had already set the record for the biggest pre-sale in music history, according to Diplo himself. The album contains 14 tracks described as a deeply reflective body of work, exploring BTS's identity and cultural roots. The name Ararang itself references the most famous Korean folk song, a symbol of unity and perseverance that has been sung by the Korean people for centuries. Diplo produced at least 5 tracks on the album, as he confirmed himself on social media. And that collaborative process, by his own account, was an experience that permanently changed how he sees his role as a producer. I just feel so lucky because I've been working for 3 decades and to link up with a group like that, and have them trust me and do some awesome music, he told Billboard. For ARMY, this album is so much more than music. It is a love letter from 7 men who survived the hardest years of their careers, military service, solo projects, physical distance, and came back together with something stronger and deeper than anything they had made before. So what have we learned today? We have learned that Las Vegas, a city that has seen absolutely everything, had never seen anything quite like the BTS Ararang World Tour. 65,000 people filled Allegiant Stadium every single night, and not one of them walked out feeling anything close to ordinary. We have learned that Diplo, a producer with 3 decades of experience, who has worked with Justin Bieber, Sia, Dua Lipa, and dozens of the biggest stars in the world, called his collaboration with BTS the biggest thing he has ever done. And that when his face appeared on the giant screen inside that stadium, the crowd erupted like he was one of the members. And we have learned, once again, for the 1000th time, that Park Jimin is a force the world simply cannot escape. Not the music industry, not the global media, not Diplo, and certainly not the 65,000 people inside Allegiant Stadium who screamed at the top of their lungs every single time he moved to the front of that stage. Jimin once told ARMY that he already knew they knew how to party, and Las Vegas proved every word of it. The world cannot escape Jimin not because he forces himself on the world, but because there is something in him, in his dancing, in his voice, in the way he exists on a stage, that touches something universal and deeply human in every single person who witnesses it. That is what real artistry looks like. That is Jimin. Alright ARMY, that is everything for today's video. If you enjoyed this breakdown, go ahead and hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel grow and keep delivering the best content for you. Share this video with a fellow ARMY who would love it. And if you have not subscribed yet, right now is the perfect time. We have so much more Ararang World Tour content coming your way as this tour continues around the world. Best comment I will be replying to. Which Jimin moment from Las Vegas Night 2 hit you the hardest? See you in the next one. Purple U ARMY. Purple Heart. Subscribe, white heavy check mark, like, thumbs up, comment, speech balloon, notification bell.